The steak bomb sub is a tradition here in New England, but we're going to take it a step further because there's so many different ways you can make a steak bomb, like this New England style barbecue steak bomb with steak tips. Yeah, we're going to change it up a little bit, show you how we can make this amazing. So, if you're interested, that recipe is going to be over at my website at kcknh.com. Find me on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share. Now, all the flavors of a steak bomb, the meat, the veg, the melted cheese, the salami. Well, if we're going to do barbecue and you don't have a grill, that's okay. We're going to do this indoors. It's a little hot outside. I ain't going outside for this, so we're going to definitely take a look at the grocery list. You can get everything. There's not a lot that goes into a steak bomb, but let me tell you something. With your favorite barbecue seasoning, you are going to make the most incredible, sexy barbecue steak bomb. So the bread of choice is going to be up to you. You could get yourself this, you could get yourself a 6-pack of sub rolls, hoagie rolls, whatever you call it, guys. But I actually found that this was cheaper than a 6-pack where I live. Now there is a separate recipe to make this fast and easy garlic spread. I personally love the way that this easily spreads out. It's almost like a toast. In the Middle East, they make a garlic spread that is absolutely delicious, and it works perfectly in this. Now we are hitting it with a little extra kosher salt and black pepper. You could certainly put that into your garlic spread if you want. That's entirely up to you. Now I'm hitting this with some scallions because I love the flavor of scallions and what it does for this. Now because I opted this route with this type of bread, I'm going to quarter it. This is going to make things so much easier for us when we break this down. Now, your barbecue seasoning, if you want, you can actually add a little bit to this. Just get the bread onto a sheet pan. Make sure the oven's on 350 or 177 Celsius. And it's going to be roughly, I think it took me about 20 minutes before I got the nice light golden brown to it. But all ovens are going to be different. They're going to be temperamental. So I did hit this with a little of my barbecue seasoning because after all, flavor, duh. And we're going to set the timer on this because as you get busy with the prep, you don't want to lose time. Otherwise, you're going to burn your bread, so be careful. Now, we're talking about steak. What steak cut are we looking for? Well, you do want to work with something on the tender side because you're going to cook this to order. So suggestions could be blade, tri-tip, top round, eye round, chuck, tenderloin. If you can afford it, get flank. Flank is mind-blowing, but I'm not paying $15 a pound for flank. Screw that. You might have to remove silver skin, ligaments, connective tissue. It's just bound to happen when you're working with steak, guys. So no matter what, you're going to have to put a little bit of work into this. I bought these blades for, I think it was a sale for like $3.99 a pound. That doesn't happen often, not lately. So I tend to stock up on these, and I don't mind doing the extra work to it. Now you'll see that container at the upper right area there already has some barbecue seasoning. It's just easier for me to be able to make sure I've got everything set up. Now you can save all the steak scraps if you want to just toss them in a bag, put them in the freezer for when you want to do beef stock. That way you're not wasting anything. And when you're done prepping that, hit it with some more barbecue seasoning or do it to your own liking. Just toss it around, make sure everything gets coated in that. I'm telling you guys, you're going to love this. It's going to be so delicious. So, mushrooms, your choice on what you like, what you prefer. The classic over here in New England is white and it's sliced thin. I actually have a good friend who runs a business out here in Brentwood, New Hampshire. He grows his own mushrooms, and I managed to get my hands on some lion's mane and oyster. And just like the steak, we have to consider the size of what we're working with for vegetables, so try to keep it as consistent as possible. When you're running into some mushrooms that might be big, you can tear them. Look at this. Perfect bite-sized pieces, little effort. Loving it. And as always, I have a container that's off camera ready for these mushrooms as well as the onions and peppers. You're basically, in a nutshell, going to be cutting them into thin strips. Keep everything as universal as possible. If you get garlic scapes at a farm stand, throw some in, guys. Wicked nice flavor. Oh my God. So into a hot pan, medium-high heat. You got a little bit of butter, olive oil, salt, and pepper. I'm just breaking up the onions here. Now, the goal with this, I'm going to let this sit for a good 4 to 5 minutes, and you'll see from the last frame to this, a dramatic change has happened. We're allowing the heat to do its job. We're going to sweat these out, and then eventually we're going to start tossing these in the pan. We don't want to burn them, but we just want the heat to do the job for us. Don't necessarily walk away, because it's easy to get tied up into other things. So this is really a good point about mise en place, having everything done ahead of time. Now, more and more as that heat hits this, you can see this reducing in volume. The onions are losing that bright white. The red of the peppers is nice and bright. I could see the mushrooms have taken on the heat beautifully. And I'm just taking a look and seeing some color on those mushrooms now. So I know I'm at the point I'm going to want to get this out of the pan soon. And no, we're not caramelizing them to the point that it's dark brown. You don't want this. Not with a steak bomb. Ever. So we'll work on getting this out of the pan. Just doing a quick taste test to make sure that these are done. And I'm very happy with the outcome here. It probably took about 7 to 8 minutes to get it to here. So we'll get that out of the pan. The nice part is these suckers are going to stay nice and hot while you're cooking the steak. So don't worry about that cooling down. So a little more olive oil. Now we're going to hit that with the steak tips. Get that into the pan. And I'm going to tell you something. Leave it alone. Just like the vegetables, leave it alone. Everyone loves a slight crust to their steak tips. It gives you that nice umami bomb in your freaking mouth. Oh my God. After about 3 or 4 minutes, toss it around in the pan so you can start cooking the rest and the other sides. And basically, in a nutshell, you are in charge of how far you want to cook your steak tips. I'm hitting it with some more seasoning. I'm going to do this to a medium rare. Why? Because we have to still consider melting cheese. Back in my early days of working at Papagino's, we used to do the same thing. We did not want to cook the beef all the way, because then at that point you're burning the very bottom while you're waiting for the cheese to do its job and melt. So try your best to cook this to medium rare. And all those small pieces that you just can't avoid when you're cutting beef, those are your taste testers. You're the chef. You got a taste test, right? So now I'm working on breaking this up into 4 portions. Now with 1.5 pounds, which is 680 grams of steak, you get 6 ounces raw per person, which when cooked, you're getting about 4.5 ounces, which is a really good portion for these subs. Now I found some smoked provolone. Let me tell you something. I told the deli counter that's got to come home. And it had the biggest smile on my face. So did they. By the time I've got the cheese on here, I've killed the heat because there's plenty of residual heat to do the rest of the job here. You can see that provolone is melted beautifully. And I happen to have some fresh parsley from one of the farm stands I had gone to recently. Thought, hey, little greenage, why not? At this point, you should start getting your plates ready because we're going to build up these subs. That garlic bread is going to hold everything beautifully. Take a look at the final result, guys. Get that steak on there, put the veggies right on top, hit it with some wild greens. It's up to you for your condiments. Have fun with this. You are not going to be able to use napkins. Paper towels are required. As always, thanks so much for joining me. I hope you enjoy this recipe. If you need any help, just shout out. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share. And as always, thanks so much, guys. I appreciate all of you. All right, happy cooking.